You tell me.
First of all, what does it take to coach both of them?
That's a good question. I think I still got a lot of learning there, taking over both programs. I think it was said best by Bear Bryant that there ought to be a special place in heaven for a coach's wife. Did a lot of due diligence before that kind of fell in my lap when was approached by the board and administration about taking over both. Talked to Coach Adams, who's done that at Mobile Christian. Talked to my former high school coach, Kirk Norris at Georgiana, who does both. And then obviously just having a wife that understands and allows me this opportunity to take on this challenge. Her being a part of my life and being in basketball, being a part of it, and then taking this role with two little girls of my own. Having this opportunity. I kept telling my wife, I'd be crazy to look at the girls' roster and what they had coming back, and say no to that. But obviously, I don't want to do any negative to either programs, boys or girls. And then obviously the home life too. I'm not going to take up this challenge if we can't manage this. 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, you got to have a high level of energy just to keep up with those two, let alone run two programs. So it's going to be a challenge, but like every coach has said, blessed to be a part of a game you love, and then growing and maturing. I'm starting to not be the youngest coach in the room anymore, but understanding the opportunity and the impact you get to have in young men's and women's lives now. That's a tall task for all of us coaches and teachers.
Well, I can tell you this: Whitney Novak, one of the top players in this whole region, so she kind of makes it easy for you. Talk a little bit about another player, Chloe
Gilmore.
Right. Talk about her development, and I'm unique, boo. I'm telling you, y'all get ready. This is a kid that's going to jump on the scene this year.
Right. Well, I'm unique. She transferred, so she was out for a little while, but she got a taste of it. But it was so late. It was the last regular season of the game before we got to the area tournament. But, you can just tell from I'm unique, playing travel ball and just having the knack. I think she has one of the purest jump shots I think that I've seen, which helps her a lot. A big point with me and her is conditioning, off-season weight room and things such as that nature. We're a small school, so we share athletes. But I'm unique as one of those. She's basketball driven. Chloe Gilmore's the same way. Chloe Gilmore, they were both very, very young, so they had to mature a lot last year, and I think Coach Pears did a great job with that. And so, their expectations are high. Whitney coming back, her along with Elizabeth Roebuck are right there around I think breaking the record or passing the 1,000-point mark. We're trying to figure that out, digging back into the old books back in 7th, 8th grade if they've not already surpassed that. So the problem is there, you got a lot of people who can play. So creating a culture of accountability and discipline to create success, there's got to be also a lot of selflessness to manage that. So expectations are high. Those athletes, we have 5 or 6 playing AAU ball. So they've been not only playing AAU ball, committed to the off-season program, and then most of them are playing with a volleyball team, which Coach Donald has playing at a high rate, in 1A, and they're about to hit the postseason play. So these girls are in the gym, the weight room, from the crack of dawn till late at night. So they're totally committed.
Will there be a difference in the style of play between we'll see in the girls and what we'll see in the boys, or will it be the same system based on what the type of talent and type of athletes you have?
I've been asked that question a lot, and I think it really just is dictated by the players. We have a game plan of what we want to do and where I would like to be, but you can't overload them. What can we handle? And if they can handle certain points, we can take those next steps. So we've discussed that a lot, and it really is dictated upon them, what they can handle and what they can manage. I know one of the things we hung our hat on, you heard all the coaches say it, is the defensive end. The girls last year really didn't play man-to-man defense, and we really worked on that in the summer program. I think when they got to Birmingham, they were forced into a position where they had to play man, and they were just not used to that. And that's all I've ever coached, especially on the boys' side, is man-to-man. I just love doing that, the defensive end. So, that's our priority, is on the defensive end. But offensively, it's really what they can handle and what they can manage will dictate really what we can do. So it might look the same early on, but depending on both teams who can handle what, it could look a lot different.
Who are your assistant coaches that's helping you out with these two teams? I know you can't do it.
I can't do it all. Johnny Mahan, who's a legend from the floor, played at Tulane. He was a part of the program last year. He had just got done playing professionally for a little while. He and I talked, and he wanted to get back into coaching. And, I'd asked him early on, even last year, would he assistant coach with me? But he ended up going with the girls, knowing Coach Pears. But behind the scenes, there was a lot of stuff he still did with the boys. He's actually going to help me and be my head assistant coach on both teams. Josh Landry is going to be my boys' assistant coach, because if we're coaching one game, I need a coach obviously in there to have the boys ready and pre-game prep. So those coaches, we've kind of got a game plan together how we're going to manage that. So thankful for those two guys to be on board.
So, Coach, do you have a leader on the girls' team in particular that has emerged and that's going to take reins of that team and lead everybody?
Oh, yeah, multiple leaders, and I think Coach Thornton said it. Whitney Novak is one of those. You still got to pull a little bit more leadership out of her. You've got two seniors in Abigail Lowry and Elizabeth Roebuck who's been in the program. They know what leadership's about. Whitney's that player that's going to make sure everybody's wearing the right undershirt, the same matching size. I mean, she thinks of stuff that don't come to my mind, and she's already done it. So Whitney's one of those. She's growing in that leadership role. And you're seeing some other young ones like I'm Unique. One of the things with her, she lets her game do a lot of the talking, but I've really challenged her. Hey, your body language and how you play is gonna dictate a lot, but I need some verbal leadership. And that's what we go back to, creating that culture of discipline, accountability.
But looking at that roster too, I know you had several players, several different positions.
With the girl side, we do. But I think that's their style of play. It goes back to Whitney Novak. She can handle the ball, but you can put her down in the post if you have a mismatch. So you kind of can do the same thing with I'm Unique. You can do that with Elizabeth Roebuck. Getting into summer ball, we're playing games, and she's one of the first athletes I've seen drive. She's a right-handed shooter, drive to the left, and then shoot with her left hand and make it on a consistent basis, which I didn't know how to feel with that as a coach. You're trying to teach fundamentals, but when you saw the consistency of it, it was something unique, there. So their talent dictates that.
Early expectations. Y'all are one of the teams that everybody talking about on the girls' side to make it back to the Final Four. Have you even spoke about it or thought about it?
Well, I think I hadn't spoke to them yet, because some of those girls, like I said, are in volleyball, and that's their focus. But no, not really. I think it goes back to that day-by-day mentality. If we look too far ahead, we can trip up, and really miss what we need to be doing. So it's a daily habit, how we need to get stuff done, that accountability to one another, just to put yourself in a position to be successful. And I think all of us at St. Luke's in the athletic department are really trying to do that. But no, I think I've watched both state, the Final Four girls game and the state title game with the boys game till I've about driven myself crazy, because you want to turn the hands of time back and change a lot of stuff. But that's on me. But I think the girls, it's the day by day, getting used to what we're supposed to be doing daily.
And speaking of the schedule, who do you feel is going to be y'all's toughest opponent? Not only for the schedule as a whole, but in area play.
McIntosh. McIntosh has got some coming back on both sides, boys and girls. And then last year, I know on the boys' side, Milry has a lot coming back as well. So I think it's going to go through McIntosh. Is going to be your biggest test on both sides. Coach Pickney and what he's got going on and coming back up there, as well as the point guard for the girls' side. She's been promoted very well. So our players are very well aware of McIntosh and what they have coming through. Coming back and what we've got to go through just to get out of our area.
Coach, what about the boys' team? Talk a little bit about them.
Boys' side is very interesting. Graduating 7 seniors. I'm in that transition mode, which was something I knew once I got hired on here. As far as graduating half your roster, we've got a lot of young guys that are coming up that are going to have to be kind of thrown to the fire and see what they're made of. I think we got some young talent. Got some juniors coming back that would have been a part of the team last year. Josh was one of them, but he had an elbow injury that took him out last year. Bryce Eddington was one who had an injury as well. So there's some upperclassmen coming back, but they've got to wear some of the rust off from not being able to participate last year. And it goes back to leadership on that side. I think that's the better question. Who's going to be the leader on the boys' side? Especially being as young as we are. But it's like everybody says, Coach, what are you going to do? Well, a lot of young guys, there's a lot of coaching to be done, so it's a good thing that I'm in the coaching business that I love to be a part of.
Standout players for the boys.
Standout players would probably be going to be a grader. Cam Chambers, he's a young guy that's coming along. He's very shifty with the basketball. One of the big challenges for him is conditioning as well. That's what I always tell him. Everybody wants to shoot the ball or lay it up, but you've got to transition back into defense too. And you've got some guys that want to sign up and play, and I jokingly tell them, we've got a senior that wants to come on board, and he's a big kid, and I just asked him, I said, eventually you've got to run back to the other end of the court. You do understand that, right? And so he's willing to accept that challenge, but it's going to be some young guys, and I think they're going to have to contribute for us to be successful. And that's a lot to ask from those guys, but I think they're ready for the challenge.
Any returning seniors on the board side?
We have 2 returning seniors, Kwanye Gamble. Obviously, that's a name probably you hear in football, the linebacker, just a big body. He loves to be physical. You teach him, hey, you can do a drop step and be physical in basketball, and, boy, he latched onto that. So he's like, oh, I can be physical in basketball. And then Carrington Bettis is another senior. He's a kid who's been through some things physically to where he's a part of the football team, but physically with some medical conditions with his back's not allowed to hit and tackle. So basketball is a great outlet for him. He's a great young man that's been committed to football all these years and gets to wear a jersey and be a part of Coach Lee's program, but also is, get some of that angst out getting to play on the basketball court. So he's really taken some strides this offseason as well.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it, man.